phone real quick on my personal. Okay.
We are live.
We are live. Good evening, everyone. My name is Julia Mejia. I'm Boston City Councilor at Large. And we're having a community conversation tonight, Tuesday, May the 18th? What, May 18th? Or 19th? Whatever day it is, it's Tuesday. I know that for a fact. And we are focusing our conversation today on the issues that hair salon owners and barbershops across the city of Boston are facing. We have an amazing lineup for you all tonight. Get ready, because everybody's going to bring a little bit of fire to this conversation. And I'm going to be kicking it off to my colleague and partner in crime in all of this, Christie Lindor, who has been working with our office on an initiative to support small businesses in the city of Boston, specifically in the hair and barbershop industry. So without further ado, the one and only Christie Lindor.
Thank you so much, Julia. And good afternoon, or good evening, should I say, out there at Facebook. Thank you all so much for joining us for this really, really important community conversations. As Julia mentioned, my name is Christie Lindor. I am the founder and CEO of Tessie Consulting, where we provide business and HR strategies to businesses. And this conversation is near and dear to my heart. I'm a former beauty salon owner. And so when I got the chance to be able to connect and work with Julia on a project that's just as important like this, I jumped at the opportunity. I want to take a moment to have each of our panelists introduce themselves. And one thing I want to give the audience just about a little bit of context, how this panel kind of really came to be. So Julia and I, we both, a couple weeks ago, we asked our networks on social media, who are the best hair salons and barbershops in the Boston area, when we were starting to kind of, put the program together that I know Julia will talk about later in the session. And when we put that question out in different networks within Facebook and Twitter and IG, these individuals and their businesses were really the ones that bubbled up. So we are really excited to be able to have the best, some of the best salons and barbershops that were picked by the public, really be able to share their thoughts on COVID and beyond. So with that, I'm going to ask each of my esteemed panelists to be able to introduce yourself, introduce your business name, maybe give us a little bit about kind of the services you do, where you're located, and how long you've been in business. And so I'm going to kind of go in the order of the tiles that are that I see in the video chat. So I'm going to start actually to my upper left with Shanita Clarke from Savage Roots. Shanita, you want to kick us off?
Hi, my name is Shanita Clarke. I am the owner of Savage Roots Hair and Beauty in Dorchester, Mass. We specialize in natural hair, locks, twists, braids, just healthy hair in general. And we also have our own product line.
Awesome. Thank you, Shanita, for being here tonight. All right, so I'm going to go. This is like Brady Bunch, with the tiles. It's so funny. So I'm going to go to my upper right hand, Myriame and Serge.
Hello. My husband and I, we own Unique Cuts, which is located in Lower Mills. We have owned Unique Cuts for the past 22 years. We're an inclusive barbershop. We welcome everyone. We have some really interesting things that we do for our youth, where we encourage them to get really good grades. And once they do, they bring in their report cards and they get a free haircut. Another signature thing about our shop is we have a car styling chair for our young ones so that we can keep them entertained while they're being serviced.
Nice. Thank you so much. That's such a unique touch. I have a young baby, so I look forward to being able to take my my son to your shop and having that experience. All right, awesome. So I'm going to go down to the next tile in my upper right corner with Euan Davis of Barber Time.
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Euan Davis. I'm the owner of the Biz Barbershop, which is why I'm here, because we're talking about the barbershops and salons. But I do own a media network that's catered toward the barbershop and salon industry, as in communication, advertising, and then of course the overall health and integrity of our industry. And it's something that we need now. So I'm really hoping we get a chance to come together and help Julia with this, and then beyond this with you.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Shelly from Salon Monet.
Yes. So hi, I'm Shelley from Salon Monet. I'm located on Newbury Street in Boston. I've been there for 17 years now. I specialize in everything from hair extensions to natural hair. I have a couple of stylists that do dreads, pretty much cover everything in terms of hairstyles, but we focus on healthy hair and keeping the hair healthy with whatever service you are wearing. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelly, for being here. And last but certainly not least, Kueen King.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening. I am so excited to be a part of this panel. Thank you for the opportunity, Julia and Ms. Christie. I'm so excited because this is something that we need for our industry right now. The culture of our industry has changed so much, so to have this kind of forum and to get us some camaraderie is awesome. But just a little bit about me. My name is Kueen King. I am owner and operator of Kings and Queens Unisex Hair Salon. Most of you probably know me when I was in Grove Hall for a number of years, but now I'm in a private suite by myself. I don't house any other stylists at this time. And it's actually a beautiful thing. I'm a mom of two, I'm married, and it was just time for me to downsize and take care of me. And for the past 6 years, I've been in a suite by myself. I specialize in hair care. I do a number of services from shortcuts because I was a master barber first, and I fell in love with doing hair. And I love doing microlinks and relaxers, shortcuts. The natural hair, not so much. I'm gonna send them to you, Shanita. But yes, I'm just excited to be here. I've been doing hair for about 18 years now and looking to keep on going.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Kueen. So we're going to kick off. I'm really going to ask a couple questions. I'm going to ask for each of you all to answer. And then the last segment of the questions, I'm really going to just open it up to who feels, kind of inspired to respond. And I know that we'll also be getting some Q&A from Facebook. So folks out there in Facebook, if you're watching and tuning in, please send us your questions in the chat, and we'll, work towards getting to them as well. So the first question is actually, when you think about the timing of this event, we just found out yesterday from Governor Baker that salons and barbershops are going to be able to open next week with some limitation in services. It's just, I'm sure if I had this conversation with you 2 weeks ago, you all would have been in a different mindset, right? Versus if it was like a month ago versus where you're going to be next week. I know, emotions are running high with this type, with this event that we're all really experiencing for the first time. And maybe this may be the biggest event we ever face in our lifetime. So, we're about 56 plus days into the shutdown. Maybe walk us through your mindset throughout this journey. We went from having to be forced to shut down your business, which is high touch with this pandemic, and to now in the process of thinking through what does a reopening look like. So maybe just share with us a little bit about your mindset and how are you feeling kind of going into next week? What are some of the decisions you've been making, thoughts that's running through your mind, kind of top of mind right now. So I'm going to actually go counterclockwise with the introduction. I'm actually going to start with Kueen. So just tell us, Kueen, how are you feeling throughout this journey, from shutdown to today?
So you used the perfect term, journey, because that's what it has been. From the beginning, I just really thought it was going to be closed for about a 2-week type situation. I really wasn't taking this that serious. I was like, you know what, I need some time off to recoup and to just relax and to clear my head and to, do some more administrative stuff and brand building with the business. So I looked at it that way. But then once the week's gone on, it's been very challenging, because we're in business, and not only just in business, we're in business to make money. And with that not being done is it was very challenging. And then you fill out for all these grants and loans and this and that, and nothing comes through. It's like, okay, so what are we supposed to do now? Thank God for us who do have savings and stuff like that, but you never really want to live off of your savings. You want to keep, your residual income. Am I right? So, far as with Monday being our opening day, it is exciting, but at the same time, it's very overwhelming because we have to now do so many changes. But I'm sure we're going to elaborate a lot on that. There's so many things we have to put in place, so many things for with sanitation and just social distancing, just respecting the CDC rules and regs, and making sure that we're safe, because ultimately we're still putting ourselves and our lives on the line by going to work. So it's like a catch-22 type situation, but I mean, we have to, live and move on. I don't know.
Yeah, well said, Queen. Euan, do you want to share any additional thoughts?
I mean, when it happened, me personally, I went into survival mode because it was just a matter of what's going to happen and what's going to happen next. Honestly, I kind of assumed we were going to probably be down for a couple of months. So it went into finding out as many resources as possible, sharing it, because I have a media network. So I immediately went to sharing it with as many of the members and the local groups of barbers that are out there, and just trying to take advantage of turning my new time into a new job, which was, like Queen said, filing for every bit of funding that was possible, because I figured it would be there. United States is an entrepreneurial country. So if you're set up properly, then you can go out there and apply. And I was trying to get that message out as much as possible. But most recently, it's kind of, since it's go time, it's like, okay, what's going to happen now? Who's going to be in play? How are these regulations going to play out? I really don't like them. I know you guys are going to talk about them, but I know we got to do them. And just really readiness and preparedness. And I really think communication has to be at the forefront.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. So Shellee, tell us about your mindset and the journey you've gone over in the last 50 something days. Yep. I was gonna say, Brady, can you help unmute Shellee? There you go. Yes.
Okay. So over the last 50 something days, first of all, I kept hearing that this was going to happen. One of my clients was telling me, and I just couldn't even imagine it being this long. So she kept telling me, oh, Shellee, you may want to stock up, go shopping, stock up on supplies and things like that. That was late February. So to me, it was like, if I knew in February, why weren't, other officials more aware of it than I was? But anyways, I couldn't even imagine it going this long. And then finally, when we were like forced to shut down, I was just like, okay, maybe a week, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks at the most. And I would never imagine 50 something days being closed down. It was a setback for me, but it also gave me a lot of time to restore, think about the business. I was always getting up, running to work, 2 businesses, just keeping it going. Although I was making money, I'm also paying a lot of rent at 2 different places. So basically, it really gave me time to think about, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Or do I want to make some changes in my life and just, spend quality time with quality people and not work so much? So it was a step back, but it was also a positive, or at least I made it a positive. And I just did things with the days I had off. And now I'm like bored and ready to go back to work. But most importantly, I want to make sure it's safe for me, my staff, and the clients that come into the salon. I know we have to stay 6 feet apart, so that doesn't allow me to have my full staff. I'd have to break it up and then work two stylists at a time and not have clients wait in the waiting area. So basically, it's an adjustment, but I'm looking forward to going back to work and mostly being safe.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that perspective. And I'm sure whenever anyone's going through a dark valley of a journey like this, I'm sure it does make you question, like where, is this worth it? Is this, and I totally understand that. So much personally than So Myriame, I'm going to ask you the question, Myriame and Serge, what was your mindset, 56 days now into this shutdown, and where are you feeling today?
So initially, we didn't think it was going to last that long. I mean, we were following the news and we knew that it was going to come down the pipe. We started having conversations with our staff and some of our clients, but we really didn't know, and we were shocked that it lasted this long. But since it did begin the closure, I started thinking about best ways and best practices for when we return back in terms of preparedness, marketing strategies, client engagement, and also a sense of culture so that the clients that are frantic can have peace of mind. What are some of those things that I'm going to put in place? What are some measures so that they're at ease with the whole anxiety around, what's happening with our nation? So a lot of preparedness has been going through and making sure that we're ready and prepared.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I was going to ask something.
I was going to say, Serge, you wanted to jump in?
Yes, but none of us was ready for this. Even America, the biggest country on earth, wasn't ready for that pandemic.
Right.
So can you imagine us? So now we might be open. We're gonna open next week. But what are we gonna do? To make sure that everyone that comes to our shop is protected. So we have to do everything to protect our community because they are the most vulnerable.
Right. Thank you for that. All right, Ms. Shanita, let us know where your mindset was before, during, and where you are today.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I forgot to say in my intro that we have been open for just a little over a year now. So how I felt before everything happened was like, we're killing it, like we were in the middle of a renovation. We were adding another station, moving stuff back so that we could have, we had a stylist coming back from maternity. We were in a growth phase, and then the shutdown happened and it was extremely hard. It was a lot of emotions that I went through because there's like, you're thinking, what am I going to do with the staff and what's going to happen with this and where's this money going to come from and how long is it going to be? All the anxiety around it. And like everybody else said, you think, okay, April 7th, we could do that, rest in between, take a break, focus on you. But then when they pushed it back to May 4th, I remember just crying for like a night. And I was so down, I didn't want to talk to anybody. And then after, I'm like, okay, so what are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna take that energy from before and pour it into now and just, pivot? So now where I'm at is that I'm excited to be able to go back. I know that everybody else is excited to get back to work. But we don't plan on opening till at least June 2nd. Just to give it a little bit more time and give ourselves some more time to prepare and just, meet and do everything necessary so that everybody can feel safe and calm and, less anxiety around with the clients and us.
Awesome. Thank you actually for sharing that and mentioning that, you've already made the decision that even though the state is allowing you to open next Monday, you're really going to take an additional time to really kind of figure out kind of what your, the pivots you need to make. And I think that's actually a very important message for anyone, either on the panel or anyone actually listening to this Facebook Live. If you are in the throes and trying to really rethink your business, and try to make sense of that. If you feel like you're not ready, next Monday, you don't feel forced, take the time that you need to be able to open safely for yourself, for your staff, as well as your clientele. So I think that's a really mature decision, Shanita, to make. So thank you for sharing that. I know that Shanita and Kueen shared a little bit about kind of the financial element of this. I know Kueen talked about the PPP loans and that really not coming through. That's actually kind of be my next question. It's just really from a financial perspective. Not only is, they had the federal payroll protection program, there was a number of different kind of grants. A lot of organizations set up different relief funds for small businesses or micro loans or micro grants. Was curious, and again, this question is going to be for the entire panel, how, if any of you were able to benefit from any pandemic recovery, whether it was from the federal level, from the state level, local, or nonprofit, were you able to get any funding? And if you did, which ones and how has it helped your business? So I'm actually going to go counterclockwise again. So Shanita, I'll start with you.
Yes, we were blessed and fortunate enough to get 2 grants, one from our Main Streets division and one from the city of Boston. So that helped tremendously with like helping pay for rent and keep current on the bills. It does not cover everything. It does not cover 50 something days, and however many months of rent, but extremely grateful for anything.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Myriame and Serge, were you able to benefit from any of the recovery or relief funds?
We're not interested in applying for any loans, but we did apply for a grant, the LISC relief grant. We know it's free money, so we'd like to take advantage of that. But we're not interested in applying for any loans.
Okay. Were you able to get the funding?
We have not heard from them as yet.
Okay, so you're still waiting in the waiting space. Okay, all right, awesome. How about you, Shellee?
So yeah, in the beginning when it first came out, I did apply for the PPP. I didn't realize I was missing some of my paperwork through my payroll system. So last week I got that paperwork and I resubmitted. So I'm hoping to hear from them in the near future. And I was basically applying for grants. I did not want to be committed to any loans unless they were unforgivable loans. So I haven't received anything, but I'm waiting, and it looks good, to be honest with you. So I'm hoping to hear back from the PPP.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Shellee. Euan, were you able to have any relief funding provided to you?
Yeah, I'm blessed. Start with that. Like the lady said, I did get a Main Streets grant and then the city of Boston one as well. Waiting to hear back from List as well, like the other lady. I did get the PPP, but as a self-employed, the ratio made it where for anybody else considering it, if you have the pandemic, the federal pandemic, the $600, you may not want to take the PPP if you're based on a Schedule C and you didn't make a certain amount because the pandemic may end up being a little bit more. It's something I'm learning may be my issue. I'm still going to find out, I think, later this week as the process continues with the unemployment. But I was like, oh, I may have left some money on the board going that route, but I was able to get one of the PPPs with Bank of America as well. So I got a couple of things.
Okay, awesome. And Kueen, I know in the earlier intro you mentioned applying for loans. Were you able to obtain any type of relief funding?
I got responses from a few, and they were all denied, or they said you can try us again during our second round of funding, something like that. But yeah, nothing came through. But to keep it very transparent, it has taught me, and me being in business for so many years, being able to cut corners for your staff, or even for like an assistant, pay them on the table, or pay them, by cash and stuff like that, is really not worth it. Even though you're trying to do things right, and say they can file their own taxes and stuff like that, it really doesn't benefit in times like this where you can get unemployment for your staff, and even where you benefit, because if you have a certain amount of employees, they will give the business a certain amount of funding. But if you're not on paper properly, then you miss out on that funding. So it's very, very important, because we never know. We pray that we don't go through a situation that we're experiencing now, but we don't know. We can't foretell the future. So it's best just to get things in line, get your paperwork in order, get things properly done, even get yourself paid. Even if you're the only one, like myself, I'm the only one in Kings and Queens right now, but you should be still getting paid through a check, and just do things proper and right, to have the right things come towards your business.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that perspective. And what's interesting about what you just shared, Kueen, I've actually had conversations with other entrepreneurs that may have been in business for many years in other industries, and they're saying the same thing. They're saying, this pandemic has really made them rethink that, now is a good time to really pivot how they're doing business and really be able to level up their business practices and standards, so that they don't kind of get caught in this type of situation in the future. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And I think that's something that even if individuals get financial assistance, having additional business training, having additional kind of business technical assistance is going to be really, really critical for the first 90 plus days, going into recovery. So one thing I want to ask outside of financials, and I'm going to open this question up to who we want to have talk about it. What are the top like 3 challenges that's coming up for you? So I know we covered financials. We talked about kind of configuring or social distancing. Are there any other challenges that's coming up for you at this moment, in your reopening?
Anybody pick anything?
I was gonna say Brady. Oh, okay. Brady, can you just unmute and we'll just let those who want to respond.
They can raise their blue hands, or they can just raise their hand on the screen, and then you know who to go to.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I unmuted Shanita.
Hi, thank you. I'm not sure if it's part of like what you were specifically asking, but like a top thing that's on my mind about going back during this shutdown is I have a 9-year-old son. So it's like, you got to go to work, but what's going to happen with the kids? And that's one. And just, it's always on your mind, like how do you can't prevent something like this from happening, but I guess the panic of the unreadiness, thankfully we were able to get, help, whatever, but how you said before, getting into a position where you are right on paper so that you can, be able to apply for these things, or just having more resources so that it's not just like you're finding information from anywhere, just people resharing on Facebook and blah, 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 having a place to go to get help. And then another issue for me is just finding stuff, the like paper towels, sanitizer, all of that stuff. I remember before the lockdown happened, we were thinking like, if we were to stay in business, if they weren't to shut us down, we were going to run out of stuff before anything else. We were going to run out of the sanitizer. We were going to run out of paper towels because everybody was buying up everything. So now going back and having to have a abundant stock of those things and like the PPE and stuff, that's something that's on our mind too. That's all I want to say.
Awesome. Anyone else? Thank you, Shanita. I think you can unmute yourself now.
So there are really 2 things that are on the top of my head right now. The first thing is safety. I'm really concerned about safety in terms of whether clients are going to want to comply with the rules of wearing a mask, keeping the mask on, and are they going to be aggressive and combative? That's a big concern. The other concern I have is emotional health. The emotional health of people, emotionally, how people are going to be, functioning and behaving. So those are the top two concerns for me: safety and the emotional health of the clients.
Right. Thank you. Anyone,
Yeah.
anyone else, any other thoughts and challenges?
Yeah, definitely. One of my big ones is all of these things we have to do, like you're saying, supplies and everything. It's like we're gonna have to go up on our clients. Personally, I don't like having to raise my prices, although I know my value. I'm actually should be charging more than I do, but it's something we're gonna have to do across the board because of the new supplies, because of the stricter regulation. We're gonna have a lower traffic flow because of the sanitation time in between and the appointments only. It's really totally killed the element of who we are. And it's all going to then fall onto the client, which personally, again, I don't like. And then the other one, the first lady mentioned it, is communication. We need a better system, which is what I'm working on. So I don't want to make this a solicitation of myself, but the truth is, we do need a better method of communication for all of us to get it, to share it, to be part of it. So,
Yeah. Thank you for that. Shelly?
Yeah, I just wanted to like piggyback off of what you said. Now it's more like we are personal stylists with our clients. So basically, where we can multitask and do 2 clients or 3 clients, it's none of that. We are personal stylists to each individual. And it's okay to slightly increase your prices. With that said, they know they're in and out in a timely manner. They know that they have your undivided attention, and they know that, you know, their time is more valuable. So I think it's okay to do that. They'll understand where we are coming from, and hopefully that's not a problem. But I think clients will go longer with their services now more than ever before because nobody wants to spend time in a salon anymore. It's, you know, kind of risky. And I'm just hoping that like we all move forward from this point on. But I do see a decrease in the future bookings for clients more so than ever before. No one really wants to spend time in the salon nowadays.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Kueen, I don't know if you had anything, or we can move to the next question. I think you can unmute.
There you go. Okay, yes. Well, I feel like everyone has said bits and pieces of what I would have said, but the most important thing is just reassuring the customer through your newsletter or email or text groups, just to reassure them that you are going to be abiding by the CDC and the new sanitation rules. Show your certificate if you took the Barbicide certification for sanitation. Have that posted in your salon and let them know that, you know, that you care about their safety. It's not just that you're trying to get back to work to make your money. Like, you really want everyone to be safe. You're going to practice everything that's put in front of us to make sure that things are done the right way so we all can stay safe. I even did a little short video on my social media explaining to clients that when they come in, they have to wash their hands. They will have to put their belongings, which is limited to 1 belonging. They can't bring their laptop bag and their pocketbook and their coat and all that. You know, they're limited to one bag. They will have to put in the plastic bag, put that in one area, was designated for them to sit during their whole time, whether it's the dryer chair or the shampoo chair, something like that. And even wearing foot covers where they have to step into a foot cover, you know, just certain things that have to be put in place to make sure they know that we're taking this very serious. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out here who have their conspiracy theories. They really just feel like, you know, they're just going along with it. They don't really believe that this is actually something that's affecting people. But for those who have been affected, have lost loved ones, have, you know, seen this up close and personal, you know, we have no other choice but to really do the right things to lessen our fear and our anxiety.
All right, awesome. I know that I have so many other questions, but I know we're getting close to time. So I'm going to try to see if I can squeeze in 2 more, but at least one. I wanted to ask you all, if you had like a genie and you got your wish list of things that you feel like you would need to really set you up to be successful over the first 90 days of reopening and beyond, what would those things be? So I'm going to just kind of open the question up to anyone who wants to tackle it.
Supplies and funding.
So can you be like a little specific when you say supplies?
Supplies, all the PPE, all the disposables, the supplies that we have, like you said, the footings, the smocks, the gloves, paper towels, all these things are going to get consumed very quickly. And again, this is why we're passing it. But I forget what the other one I said. I forget what the other one I said. But definitely,
you said funding.
Funding, some type of, because like we said, we're going to have a traffic flow issue, and then a minimum, which it still goes to the traffic flow person, but then all the expenses. And it's like, I know all of the businesses are going to go through this, but for us, it's such a personal service. We have to pass it on to our clients. And again, to me, like that's a no-no. So if we can get some type of subsidy with funding, and then get a supply chain with whoever that can support it on a subsidy, I think it'd be the two biggest things that help a lot of us.
Okay, awesome. Anyone else? So we've got supplies and funding. Anything else?
Well, just to say, like a lot of people, they may not know where to go. They don't know where to search for these resources to put in place for like the gloves and the all the PPE. So I'm always here for anyone if you need those resources. I have a list of PPE vendors. So if you want to reach out to me afterwards, there's no fee attached. I've seen people charging people for information. I'm willing to give up that information because we all have to look out for people.
I want to get that from you, Queen.
Yeah, definitely. And my other concern is just making sure, Ian has said it. Well, it'll come back. I know we have limited time.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Anyone else?
I do want to say, if I was to create a genie and make it, would probably be to pay the balance of my rent. Although my landlord has been pretty supportive, instead of a full month, he said, "How about a half a month's rent?" So that was pretty helpful to know.
Talking about rent.
Okay.
We can do that.
So like some sort of like rent relief.
The most expensive thing is the rent. But,
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? I think you have to go. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I definitely agree with everyone in terms of definitely supplies, because it's going to be an ongoing maintenance with the mask and the gloves. So hygiene products and the hand sanitizer. So it's going to be ongoing. So I think, just the maintenance of all of these items, cleaning supplies, that stuff is going to go really fast. So most definitely, I agree with everyone in terms of the supplies and the products and the maintenance of it all.
Yeah. And Christie, if I can just say what my thought was, what I wanted to say earlier was, I am grateful, even though it was a little unnerving starting to work on next week. I'm grateful that we were part of phase one. There's a lot of the business, they're frantic, they're upset, they're angry that they weren't picked for phase one. And so I'm grateful for that. I wanted to say that earlier.
Awesome. Thank you. Shanita, any last thoughts on needs?
About the genie?
Yes.
I was just honestly agreeing and with the fact that it is going to have to be an ongoing thing, including the relief, because we're playing catch up still. Even if you were able to get some help, you're still playing catch up and having to take less people and all of that. We're going to need more help.
Okay, awesome. Well, with that, I know I'm going to pivot to Julia. I know we were going to open it up for Q&A in a couple minutes, but Julia, I don't know if you wanted to just share some thoughts based on this conversation.
No, and it's so funny because we had on my live on my personal page, we had we started off, we had like 25 people who were tuning in, and Stephanie Everett says here, is there a fund for barbershops and hair salons to help them buy a few months of PPE? This could help keep prices down and help get their clients back in their chairs, right? And so she said that earlier on in the conversation, and just goes to speak that everyone is recognizing the amount of resources that it's going to take to support this particular industry. And one thing that we also have to really be mindful of is that our industry, you know, communities of color, minority business owners, we're already at a disadvantage, right? In terms of access to capital and network. And now layer this COVID-19 situation. And because everybody wants to get that PPE, right? What I'm thinking is, how do we create like a resource bank, a place where we can crowdsource all of this information so that and have a list of, you know, trusted vendors. Like, I think that everyone is working in their own space, but I think that we have an opportunity, well, you all as an industry have an opportunity to really put your, start working more collaboratively and identifying maybe 2 or 3 vendors that you all believe have your best interest in mind, and invested in those businesses, right? And that's some stuff that the city can also help do, is to kind of leverage their relationships and their resources to create these resource banks for you all as businesses. And I think that money is real, access to capital. Some of you applied for it and were blessed with it. Some of you are still waiting to hear. But I think that it's important that we look at this as grants and not as loans, because you're going to create further financial hardship if you go down that route, right? So I think that it's really important for us to have a pool of resources, financial resources, to help support these businesses, which is what Christie and I have been talking about. Like, you all are going to need resources, you're going to need access to capital, and the other piece of it that we did not talk about, which we will in a little bit, is kind of like the access to a network and some capacity building on how we open up COVID ready, right? So the one that I'm glad to know that some of you have already went through the Barbicide training, but then there's other, for some businesses who haven't been managing their businesses in ways that would help them survive something like this. You know, some of that is building that capacity and that training. And one of the things that we've been talking about, and actually, Christie, why don't we take some questions? I don't want to start talking about the program just yet. I'm waiting for our council president to join us so that we can,
Sure.
So let's take some questions. We still have some time for some questions. I'm gonna text her to see where she is and
Okay.
getting here.
Okay, awesome. Well, one question I guess I can kick off kind of along the lines of what Julia was saying, was the financial piece and the resources for the PPE is definitely 2 really important components, but there's also the component of, for some of you and some of your peer businesses, is radically changing your business model. You know, so there are a lot of salons or barbershops that are walk-in only. And you're now being forced to become by appointment only. I think there was someone that mentioned they have like, 6 or so plus employees, you know, and you're having to now stagger their shifts. For some businesses that are cash only, now you're having to potentially go to more contactless payment options. Or if you're operating in a small space, you know, how do you really create that social distancing, that 6 feet apart at all times in a very small space? So it's really opening up not just the financial and the PPE, but you're really having to rethink, you know, for many of you, maybe having to rethink how you do business, and how do you do business in a sustainable, profitable way. I don't know if anyone have any thoughts, or do you feel that based on all these rules, you were already maybe operating in this on some level like this, and it's not too far of a stretch for you? So I'm curious, anyone's thoughts on that. Shanita?
Now
you're having to potentially go to more contactless payment options.
Shanita, you're unmuted.
All right, thank you. We were already operating that way. We're appointment only. And we were, like I said, there's 4 stylists almost when the one comes back from maternity. But we were already thinking about staggering our schedules, or planning, actually, not thinking about it, planning it. So that is not too hard of a shift. Just because it's we never wanted the salon to be packed up and people waiting and water running cold and things like that. So I was just gonna say that we were kind of already on that path there.
Okay. Queen?
The difficult part is it's almost as if we have to work more days and longer and more days. So we're used to working 4 to 5 days. We're gonna have to work 6 to 7 days, and I'll actually stretch those days out in order to maximize on our income, to try to match what we were making before, and to be able to accommodate a number of people without with creating the social distance. And someone like me who's in a very, well, it's not tiny, but I'm in a salon suite, so it's much smaller than the traditional salon. I can take literally no more than 2 people, and normally I take up to 4 people, 4 to 5 people at a time. I run like an assembly line, have 3 under the dryer, 2 at the sink, 1 in my chair. I'm just working it, and it's actually fun. I never have people waiting in the salon for hours. My clients, they actually look forward to seeing each other. So I had a Zoom with my clients a couple of weeks ago, and they're having discomfort or I guess anxiety about not being able to have that social gathering with each other anymore. Like, they call themselves the bad girls crew, my Saturday ladies. And I have to break them up on the weekday and work Sunday mornings now. I don't work on Sunday. I'm a Bible believing Christian. I go to church. But this has forced me to like stretch out my week and try to, I'm not letting my kids come to the salon whatsoever. So I'm working very closely with my husband, his work schedule, and my soon to be new schedule. It's just a new norm that we just have to get used to.
Yeah. Myriame?
Yeah.
So to lessen the foot traffic, I have to work on reinventing everything in terms of scheduling.
Yep.
With putting together different days that different staffing can go in, just to help with flattening the curve with this whole possibility of either contracting or transmitting this disease. So we have to reinvent the whole scheduling, because before it was just walk in. So now with the whole by appointment, I have to do a lot of changes and arrangements and adjusting to everyone's schedule. And another thing is we have a children's corner. Like I told you guys earlier during the introduction, how we cater to young kids. We have a children's corner, which was an area where they would be entertained, and we have like video games there. So now we're shifting that to a family corner, so that when families of more or 2 come in, they'll have that spacing for themselves. And the other thing is, we're blessed to be able to have a spacious area so that we can provide that 6 feet accordingly.
Okay. Thank you for that, Myriame. I don't know, Shellee, if there's anything you wanted to add to that. If this is just a slight pivot, or is this going to be a reinvention of your business?
Hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. It's a slight pivot for me. Although we took appointments, 90% of our clients were by appointment. Who completely shut off walk-ins for us for a good while, at least until they find a vaccine for the virus. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having less time at work. I think this is something that I needed, not particularly in this way, but it'll be a slight change, but it'll be a good change. I'm just trying to make positive out of something negative. So that's my point.
Absolutely. Thank you. So Julia, I know we're about 10 minutes till you're on mute. Oh, there you go.
So Christie, you want to talk a little bit about the pilot? And then I know that President Council Kim Janey is here. Do you want to talk about the pilot first and then introduce Kim Janey, President Council? Why don't we do that first, and then we have President Council Kim Janey say some closing remarks for us.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things, so thank you first and foremost, Shanita, Myriame, Serge, Kueen, Euan, Shellee. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. I know this journey has not been easy, but your resilience definitely shined through tonight. So thank you so much. One thing that we did want to talk about in partnership with Julia's office, we are kicking off a COVID business ready certification program. So I know Kueen mentioned Barbicide certification. That's actually rolled into what we've been providing. So we're really focused on not just the sanitation, because I know that's the part you all do that, right? Just as being licensed beauty professionals, I'm licensed too. That's just part of, that's like beauty school, right? Is, going through, infection control and that sort. That's like what we, that's kind of business as usual. I think what's new though is kind of what we were just talking about. How do you take a walk-in only model and turn it effectively and profitably into by appointment? How do you go from being cash only to possibly, going contactless? How do you maybe set up a website and be able to maybe look at other revenue streams? And how do you, do Zoom calls with clients? So it's really rethinking the business model. And that's kind of what this training will focus on. So helping you really think that through, helping you create a safe working environment, helping you figure out how to work with and train your staff, how to communicate with clients, and then the financial impact to that. So this is actually a 2-week training program that we will be kicking off June 1st. So anyone that's listening to this, if you have a salon or a barbershop, you're hearing the stories of these amazing folks and just saying, yep, I'm right there with them. How do I really make this pivot? I can't see beyond this. We ask you to consider applying for the program. We are taking applications until May 26th. And like I mentioned, the program is from June 1st to the 12th. And the goal, again, is to really help you rethink, reimagine, but to really be able to give you a sticker. You'll have a COVID business ready emblem and certificate that you can put in your business that really lets the public know you really took it, an extra step to really make sure that your staff is safe, and that you've really put in some time and some training behind, your opening. And so for those that are interested, I know Brady will add in the link out on Facebook. So you go to covidbusinessready.org if you're interested in the program. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about that. So Julia, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add on top of what I shared.
Yeah, no, and the good thing is that it's at no cost. To those, we're accepting 60 applicants to participate in this program, and we're going to be working with President Council Janey on what that looks like in terms of how do we support our district counselors and how do we identify the businesses that are going to participate. But this is really an opportunity to instill trust and confidence in the community, and that when they see that you have that emblem on your window, they know that you've always been legit, but that you're also extra legit now because you have done your due diligence on making sure that you're not just protecting them, but you're also thinking about the long-term investment of your business and how you can scale and grow even under these circumstances. Because the reality is that, God forbid this happens again, our hope is that those who have gone through this program will be better prepared to apply for grants, to know where those resources are, and that we're trying to create a coalition here of salons and barbershops across the city so that you all can have a community that you're also learning and growing alongside. So that, I know this business is really competitive and everybody's like focusing on their own clientele, but that you all start building a community within this community so that the business and the industry can grow. And with that, I would love to invite, and thank you all for participating. We had a lot of people tuning in on my personal page and a lot of people tuning in our Facebook live. So I just want to say thank you all for participating, and thank you to Christie for being such a strong thought partner in this journey alongside me. I mean, I told her I want to do something, and I just started babbling off these things, and she just created this amazing program for us to be able to support small businesses. But I want to introduce my sister in service, President Council Janie, who was the former chair of small businesses, and so who deeply cares about Black and Brown owned businesses. And so I wanted to invite her to come in and say a few words and say hello to our audience and to you all. She had some really important remarks that she wanted to share. So Councilor President Janie, you now have the floor.
I don't know about that, but thank you guys. It's a pleasure to be here. And I want to start by just thanking my sister in service, Julia Mejia. She has come on to this council. It's what, a little more than 100 days now, and it's been baptism by fire. She has rolled her sleeves. She has carried on the charge, joining others for that fight for equity that so many of us want to see. And so I'm really thrilled to partner with her in this work. She, like I, are deeply concerned and about what COVID has meant in terms of its impact on Black and Brown businesses. We know that there were many inequities pre-COVID-19 that we were tackling. And so we know it's been hard for you guys. So many of the businesses in my district, in addition to being the president of the city council, I am the District 7 city councilor, proudly representing Roxbury, South End, Dorchester, and Fenway. And my district is a district where you see these inequities play out every single day in terms of the disparities, whether we're talking about health, whether we're talking about small business, whether we're talking about education, whether we're talking about housing. And so for me, you know, COVID-19 has really illustrated the issues, the problems, and exacerbated those. And so again, I'm grateful for the opportunity to partner with Julia and to work with all of you. I know for my district, many of the businesses are salons, and I think salons play a critically important role in our community. Certainly as Black folks, as people of color, as Latinx folks, we like to look good, and that's deeply rooted in our culture in this country, and what it's meant for us to be denied the opportunity to look good, quite frankly, in our history. And so we take great pride in our hygiene and in our grooming, and salons provide an important role. I certainly miss, my niece owns a salon, and I certainly miss going to see her, and I worry about how this has been impacting her. I see Shelly here, great to see you. Continuing to shine. I see kings and queens in D7 representing, you know, I know this is hard because so many of our businesses, in terms of when we think about entrepreneurship in our community, so many of the businesses are either kind of food places or they're salons. And so this has been a hard hit for folks. And then I also think about the social disruption to our social network as a community and the important roles that salons play and being that sense of community for women to talk about, you know, our men or our kids or schools or our jobs, for brothers to kind of connect and build community with each other, to pass on those lessons to the next generation. So, you know, our commitment to making sure that you guys can open up, that when there is relief coming from the city in terms of resources, that you guys know about that you are getting your fair share. I know that is Julia's commitment, Councilor Mejia's commitment, and that's certainly my commitment. So again, I'm just here to offer my support, to say, you know, I want to thank you, one, for the roles that you play in creating, you know, these vibrant business districts that we all want to see in our community. And salons play an important role in that. You play an important role in that social network for our community, and just creating jobs for people, quite frankly. You know, I talked about my niece earlier having a salon. She's been doing my hair since she was 12 years old. And then she opened up a salon when she was in her early to mid 20s. And now she, I think, is in her early 30s. And, you know, she's had the privilege of mentors in this Zoom. So I'm really grateful for, again, the role that you guys have played in helping to support other folks around jobs, around business opportunities. And I'm here to be supportive to you. I want to thank you again, Councilor Mejia, for your steadfast leadership. Christie, it's our first time, but looking forward to connecting and meeting and working with you as well. And just here to support. As president of the council, please know that first and foremost, I am pushing for equity. We need an equitable recovery, but we needed equity pre-COVID. So that fight continues, and I'm proud to join with all of you. Thank you for the opportunity, sis. I appreciate you.
Thank you. So guys, thank you again. This is the beginning of this journey for us. We'll be following back up. There's going to be an application that goes out. If you or someone you know who can benefit from this, please share it. We're looking for folks to sign up, and more importantly, it's about building. I think that it's really important for us to continue to convene beyond this conversation so that we can continuously check in to see whether or not your needs are being met and what we can do as a city to ensure that that we're living up to what that mandate is, which is to serve. So I'm not gonna hold anyone else hostage because we're doing this again, part 2 in Spanish. And so thank you again, all. Really grateful for you all. It's so good to see you all, even if it's like this, but just really blessed to be in your presence tonight. I'll be getting my hair done at your place soon, okay? I'm going to all of y'all places, just so you know, as soon as they let us out. I need to get myself ready. All right, my love.
Julia, before we depart, I wanted to thank the fans that on Facebook that were listening. We want to continue the conversation offline. So I know Brady put in the chat the community feedback form. So if you heard this conversation, you want to add to it, you have ideas, suggestions. I know that we are also looking and connecting with a lot of partner nonprofit organizations to really help create funding and resource hubs for these businesses. Please share any thoughts with us or any additional resources that you have to help support these small businesses. So thank you, Julia.
Thank you. And if you guys go to the chat, the resource link is there, right? So if you guys can grab it before you move on, cut and paste it and snatch it up, that'd be great. And we're gonna end this Zoom here because we're going to speak Spanish now somewhere else, right? So thank you all. Have a beautiful night. Thank you. Bye.